Hey, Gossip Ghouls. Welcome to the Hot Ghouls Club. And if you love true crime and creepy cases, tap follow so you never miss an episode. As always, I'm your host, Jamie.
And I'm Tara. Welcome back to the Hot Ghouls Club, the podcast where the cases are cold and the ghouls are hot.
Yes.
And
This is
I'm
Jamie.
I'm here with Jamie. It's Met Gala Monday, so I'm obsessively checking my phone.
We basically just did this on one of your national holidays.
Truly, are
It's
we kidding?
crazy. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's truly one of the most important days of my life. And I had no idea when I said let's record. So Kevin's actually recording the live for me so that I could watch it when I get back. I waited till like the last second and then I got in the car. I was like, fuck, I need to get gas. So I was a few minutes late. But I'm just very Kim. Here we go. Kim Kardashian arrives at the Met Gala. We should have just done like a live update. She looks crazy with her hat, but she looks good as she always does. I was really hoping Beyonce would show up.
I just silenced this.
You don't need to hear them going, Kim, over your shoulder. Okay. We really have to dive in because we have a crazy case today.
I'm so excited.
We're going to be digging into one of the most heartbreaking and twisted cases you'll probably ever hear.
Oh my god.
Unfortunately, I keep doing this to Jamie. Jamie has no idea what I'm about to talk about, and I will be honest with you, there's really not a lot of coverage on this case. And so, Girl in the Picture is a Netflix documentary, but it was inspired by the book A Beautiful Child. So, I use both, obviously, I watched the documentary, which led me to read the book, which helped me, put together everything here. But the book does stop at a certain point, and there is some more information after the book was, published. A little bit more has come out about the case.
Okay.
So, we'll talk about that. But this is the story of a young woman whose life was shaped by lies, abuse, and a man who stole not just her name, but everything from her. It's the story of Suzanne Marie Sevakis, but when the world first met her, she was known as Tanya Hughes. And her story didn't begin with the birth certificate, it began with the body.
I know.
Thank you.
Wait, so she's the body?
Yeah. Spoiler. It was a spring morning in 1990 when two men driving through Oklahoma City spotted somebody lying along the side of the highway. At first, they thought she might be asleep or maybe drunk, but as they got closer, they realized the truth. The woman was badly injured, barely conscious, and in desperate need of help. She'd been hit, seemingly by a car, and left for dead. She was rushed to Presbyterian Hospital where doctors tried to save her, but her injuries were severe, and within just a few days, 21-year-old Tanya Hughes died.
Oh, she's just a baby.
She was just a baby. And so who is Tanya Hughes? According to the man claiming to be her husband, Clarence Hughes, she was a stripper living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with him and their 2-year-old son, Michael. They lived in a trailer. She worked nearly every day of the year, every day except Thanksgiving and Christmas when the club was closed. And her co-workers said she was quiet, withdrawn, and always working toward one thing, earning at least $200 a night, because if she didn't, she paid for it at home.
Oh my god.
Clarence was controlling, violent, and clearly abusive. Tanya's co-workers watched the bruises pile up. They watched her fear him, but they also watched her dream about escaping, especially after she met a man named Kevin. For the first time in a long time, Tanya seemed hopeful. She talked about leaving and getting out for good, but she never got her chance.
Imagine. I literally can't even make I can sometimes 200 a week is what I can pull in.
And as police began to investigate Tanya's death, everything, her name, her identity, even her marriage began to unravel. All roads led back to one man, a man with a string of fake names, a criminal record a mile long, and a terrifying past no one saw coming. Again, this is the story of Suzanne Marie Sevakis and the man who stole her life, Franklin Delano Floyd.
So I'm just assuming, because I'm sure you're going to get to it, I feel like she forced her to have a new name, a new identity, separated her from everybody that she once knew and loved. And also, did he work?
He did not work, but
What a fucking cunt.
You're actually wrong.
About the name?
No, about everything.
Oh my god.
It's way worse.
Oh.
Like, nightmare horror story worse. After Tanya's death, her coworkers were heartbroken. Despite how quiet and withdrawn she was, they cared about her deeply. She was one of their own, and they wanted to give her a proper goodbye.
Yeah, it's like her family, essentially.
Her boss at the strip club even stepped up to pay for her funeral because her husband refused. He said that he just told the hospital to cremate her and move on. But one woman, her name was Connie, she was a co-worker of hers. She knew that that's not what Tanya had wanted. And they felt like it was the least that they could do after everything she'd been through. And they also figured that someone, anyone from her family, would want to know what happened. So they started trying to contact her next of kin. That's when her boss reached out to a woman he thought was Tanya's mother, but what he learned stopped him cold. The real Tanya Dawn Tadlock, the name their friend had been using, that was like her uh, maiden name,
Yeah.
had died 18 years ago. As in, this wasn't a weird coincidence. The woman they knew as Tanya Hughes wasn't who she said she was at all. And from that moment on, everything shifted. Who was she really? Why had she been living under a false identity? And who exactly was Clarence Hughes? As all of this was unfolding, Clarence, Tanya's so-called husband, was acting like a freaking weirdo. So
Did he know that people were starting to learn that that wasn't her name and all that?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay.
Because I don't think that they ever confronted him on that.
Yeah,
But they never got the
wouldn't.
chance.
I don't know if I really would. I would just go right to police. Whatever. That's crazy.
So at the hospital, while Tanya was fighting for her life, he was putting up a no visitors, like a handwritten no visitors sign on her door.
Why would I come?
He didn't want anyone near her, no friends, no coworkers, no one from the club who cared about her was allowed to say goodbye or even sit by her bedside. But I will say that woman Connie that I mentioned, she did go there. Because he did call her after it happened to like let her know he wanted to pick up her last paycheck and that she was badly hurt at Presbyterian.
So the only reason why she was allowed to go was to give that guy their last
No,
paycheck.
no, 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 no. She would go and the nurses would sneak her in.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Um,
So he didn't even he was just calling to let her know that he was looking for the paycheck, but did not invite her to come, and she went on her own volition. Like she said, "I'm going."
Absolutely.
Love that.
Love. Bad bitch.
Yes.
So at the hospital, like I said, Tanya was fighting for her life. He put the no visitor sign. And then came one of the most unsettling parts. Shortly after one of his visits to her room, she took a turn for the worse, and that's when her condition deteriorated fast. And by April 30th, she was gone. So that alone is, was suspicious to a lot of people, but Clarence didn't exactly lay low after her death. Instead, he tried to cash in not one but two life insurance policies in Tanya's name, totaling around $80,000. But that's where it all came crashing down on him. He handed over two different social security numbers to the insurance rep, both fake, and when the insurance company pressed him for more documentation, he finally gave his real one. And that's when they figured out exactly who he was. Clarence Hugh was just a cover, it was another mask. His real name, Franklin Delano Floyd. A wanted fugitive with a long, violent criminal history, and now at the center of a murder mystery involving a woman who may not even have known who she really was.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So to understand how dangerous and manipulative Floyd will become, you almost have to go back to the beginning, to his own childhood. Because the truth is, Floyd wasn't just a monster made overnight, he was built from years of trauma, abandonment, and brutality. Floyd was born in 1943 in the small town of Barnesville, Georgia. He was the youngest of 5 kids. His father, Thomas Floyd, died when Floyd was only a year old, taken by liver and kidney failure from years of heavy drinking. And that left his mother, Della, to raise 5 children completely on her own. And she really did try. Della moved the family in with her parents, but within 15 months they were kicked out. Out of options, she made a heartbreaking decision. She placed all of her children in the Georgia Baptist Children's Home.
Oh.
Della never stopped trying to see them. She visited as often as they allowed, just 2 times a year, and she wrote letter after letter pleading for more contact. But the staff denied every request, telling her she should forget about her children and move on.
That's crazy.
It was a really crazy,
how heartbreaking to go from losing your husband.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was abusive and horrible, but still.
Yeah, I'm sure though, like back in the day, that's like your bread, like that's your money, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. The home itself was far from safe. It was strict, cold, and violent. The kids were raised by unqualified matrons, women who couldn't get jobs anywhere else. Punishment was routine. Floyd was caught once masturbating and had his hand shoved into boiling water as a punishment.
Oh my god.
He was also beaten and whipped for misbehavior. Floyd did stand out early on, and not in a good way. He was defiant, angry, always breaking the rules. He tried to run away again and again, and while he was seen as difficult, it's hard not to recognize that this was a child already showing the scars of extreme neglect and abuse.
Yeah.
But whatever goodness might have existed in him early on was buried under fear and pain and violence. And that damage, the trauma, the rage didn't just stay in his past. He carried it with him and he passed it on. Shortly after Floyd aged out of the system, he would commit his first and extremely disturbing crime. In 1962, Floyd stood trial for the rape and kidnapping of a 4-year-old girl that he had lured away from her family while at a bowling alley. Floyd was charged with 10 to 20 years, but would quickly escape 4 months later and rob a bank.
There's no way that was his first crime. That was just the first one he got, like, fucking hit with.
Well,
There's
he,
no way he could have just. A 4 year. There's no way he didn't do some other shit before that. Well, I guess because they said that he was already standing out while he was there, and
he
they.
did do like juvenile crimes, like he would steal, he would do that. There's
A
also
4 year old
he made
girl?
claims that he was also raped when he was 6 years old by a group of boys. But honestly, I don't believe anything this man says. Floyd was arrested.
When did he claim that, though? Did he claim that?
Oh, I don't know. It didn't say like when he came out with that. It just went
Yeah.
like in the book, like that's what he claimed. He was like raped with a broom.
Like, if. Oh my god. If it was young. If he claimed that younger, that just brought me. You
I don't
ever
think it
seen
was
13
younger.
Reasons Why?
Only the first season though.
Oh my fucking god.
Whatever happens with the broom is not in the first season.
It's not well. No, yeah, it's like the last season, and it's not
I
fucking
don't
well.
think anything should have ever been made out of after the first season. That was a. I was one of the ones who saw the original bathtub scene.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw, and then I think they took they definitely took the bathtub scene out, and I think they took the broom scene out too, because
Did
both
they
were
take the
like,
rape scene out of in the hot tub?
I don't know if they, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean hot tub, I meant bathtub. They took the bathtub when you saw her
No, I
nude.
know they took the bathtub one out,
Yes,
and you said they took a broom thing out.
yes.
But then she was also raped in a hot tub.
I don't know if they took that out or
No,
not. Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, so that just brought me back to that. That's fucking
yeah,
horrendous. But no, that was so common back in the day too. Anyways, oddly enough.
I
And like
know.
kids were just like fucking shoving brooms up other kids' anus. Like, why is that normal?
It's not.
No.
Okay. So, like I said, Floyd escaped, but he was found and arrested and charged again. It would spend the
Good.
next decade in various prisons. And being that he was a sex offender, he would endure beatings and cruelty at the hands of his inmates, eventually having to take
Mm,
on a daddy for protection.
rightfully so.
Floyd would transfer one last time and make friends with career criminal David Dial.
Well, the daddy should have never accepted him, but yeah, he definitely deserved to have gotten beaten. That's fucking foul. He's a disgusting bitch.
Yeah, I knew this one was going to bug Jamie out. Floyd was eventually released on parole in 1973. In 1974, Floyd, using a fake name, met a woman named Sandra Bradenberg, and he was going by Brandon Williams, one of his many aliases, and he told her he could help her get her life back on track. Sandra was struggling. She had 4 children, 3 daughters, and a baby boy. Life had been rough.
I already don't like this. I already don't like where this is going.
Sandra had 2 failed marriages under her belt when she met Floyd. Her first child, Suzanne Sevakis, she had with her high school sweetheart, Cliff Sevakis. Their marriage ended in divorce, and Sandra moved on to marry again and have 3 more children. Unfortunately, that marriage would also end in divorce. Sandra was living in a trailer park with her 4 children when a tornado tore through and deeply traumatized her. Desperate for help, she went to the state for assistance, but like so many women in her position, she was told she was on her own. Sandra was struggling heavily and eventually lost custody of her children. That's when Floyd walked into her life pretending to be a savior.
Not to like derail too much, but just like women that are put in that exact position is also a lot of times why women will go into escorting and take that route because it's a quick buck that you can make and it actually is like life changing, especially if you're in like a situation where you can potentially be with your children on the streets or
Mm-hmm.
like evicted or like you don't you just know that the money you can make it.
I know.
Go ahead.
So Floyd promised to help her, promised to support the kids, and for a moment it seemed like things might turn around. They got married, and Sandra even regained custody of her children, thanks in part to Floyd's convincing lies. But it didn't last. Shortly after the marriage, Sandra was arrested for writing a bad check. She had tried to buy diapers for her baby and got caught, and for that she was jailed for an entire month.
You're fucking joking.
I'm not.
Where is this?
Oh, I don't know. Some middle America.
Get it together, you guys. Like, if somebody is fucking writing you a bad check to
For
get
diapers.
diapers, bitch, if I see somebody stealing in front of my face diapers, I didn't see shit. Matter of fact, I'm blind. Okay.
I'll pay for them.
Oh, yeah, exactly. If that's the big deal, if somebody wrote a bad check, step up and pay for them. Obviously, they're doing it for a reason. They're not stealing fucking luxury items. They're stealing things that clearly they need.
Mm-hmm.
or trying to take like a bad check or whatever. Just fucking grow up. My God, help each other out.
When Sandra got out, her life was in shambles and her children were gone.
Where is he?
Floyd had abandoned the two younger girls and the baby boy at an orphanage. The boy, Michael, was later adopted, but Suzanne, the oldest, he kept. Okay. Sandra went to the authorities immediately, but because she and Floyd were legally married, she was told there was nothing they could do. He had every legal right, they claimed, to take Suzanne. Sandra never saw her daughter again.
You know what's fucking disgusting too? Okay, so Sandra is probably, what's her name? Megan. I already forgot the name. What's who?
Who?
The woman from the strip club.
Connie.
Connie. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I've never been good with names, but okay, so and
It's
he was the one that was convincing her to get them back. Mind you, as soon as you said that, I was like,
and
that's
he
not
convinced
okay.
her to get their back, right?
Yeah,
And then as soon as she was vulnerable, he took off with the eldest.
that's fuck. Oh my God, I hate this guy.
And just like that, Suzanne Zavakis disappeared from the world. No one knew where she was, who she was with, or what kind of life she was being forced to live. From that moment on, Suzanne's life wasn't hers anymore. Floyd raised her under a series of false identities, moving constantly to avoid being recognized. Sometimes she was Sarah Marshall, sometimes Tanya Hughes, always someone else, always under his control. He presented her to the world as his daughter, but in reality, he was grooming her, manipulating her, and eventually would claim her as his wife.
And what age again was she when he took her? Do you know?
I believe she was around 7.
Sick fuck.
Yeah.
I hate him.
She was
Is he dead now?
Yes.
Thank God.
But
dumb bitch.
Yeah. I'll tell you at the end.
Yeah.
Floyd raised Suzanne in
Probably killed
captivity,
himself.
isolated her, and created a life of lies around her. No school records, no medical history, no stable home, just 4 documents, motels, and endless abuse. He kept her in check by moving often, threatening her constantly, and holding complete control over every aspect of her life. And somehow, for years, no one knew who she really was. Not really even Suzanne herself. So, what happened to Suzanne after she was taken? So, Floyd went on the run with her, and now he had a child in tow. And he was raising the child under a false identity. And so, there's actually not too much of her life before high school that I could find. There was one claim that when they were living in one town and he had a babysitter, she did make claims that she thought he was sexually abusing her, and then they fled. Once the rumors come out,
Yeah.
he runs. She would eventually become Sharon Marshall for a good chunk of her life. And so by the time she reached her teenage years, they landed in and around the Atlanta area, but she wouldn't stay in one place for long. She attended 4 different high schools. Floyd told people she was gifted, too smart for the schools to keep up with her, and it's true, she was brilliant. But the real reason they moved so often, people were asking too many questions, or there was too many rumors swirling around. Floyd was weird, controlling, he didn't act like any normal parent, and when the attention got too close, they'd pack up and vanish overnight. Despite all of that, Suzanne, still going by Sharon, shined.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm actually even surprised he was putting her into high school and stuff like that.
He put her through schools, like elementary school, middle school. I'm surprised he was able to do that without anyone figuring anything out.
Yeah, especially as far as using aliases and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know what they got going on in the Midwest, but you would think birth certificates and things were necessary.
You'd think. I don't mention this, but I did, that guy David Dial that I mentioned, he did help Floyd later on, and he did talk to the FBI, and at one point he said Floyd was really good with IDs, making fake IDs, I guess making fake documents.
I mean, he had experience with doing it for himself for X amount of years before he even came across Suzanne. Yeah.
Suzanne was beautiful, warm, and incredibly intelligent. She excelled in school, earned top marks, took honors classes, and was even elected to student council. She was the kind of girl everyone wanted to be around, the kind of girl everyone thought would go far. She had a dream, and she made sure people knew it. Sharon Marshall wanted to attend Georgia Tech and become an aerospace engineer for NASA.
Wow.
And the wildest part is that she could have done it. She had the brains, the grades, and eventually the acceptance letter with the full ride scholarship to prove it. But Floyd wouldn't let her go.
Well, yeah. The control.
So during her high school years, Suzanne formed a close friendship with another girl named Jenny Fisher. The two had met at summer camp for student council students, and they clicked instantly. Jenny saw Sharon as a role model, and Sharon spent a lot of time at Jenny's house. In fact, Jenny's family welcomed her like she was their own.
Mm.
Um, so I do remember reading how like Jenny was, I think, a year or two younger than her, and like she struggled a little bit more with like her grades and fitting in, and she was just like more of a regular defiant teenager. And
Yeah.
Sharon, in the contrast, loved to read, loved to have really deep intellectual conversations, and she actually had a lot of those conversations with Jenny's parents. They truly loved her like their own. Floyd, still pretending to be her father, would drop her off and even chat with Jenny's parents. He always gave off an uneasy vibe. Jenny's dad especially didn't trust him. So Floyd had asked like her parents for, loans on multiple occasions. He had claimed to be like a painter, like a contract painter, and then he just needed to get his business off the ground, but they never gave in to his request. And
Yeah.
one time they came home. I forget what they. I think they just like came home from like they were out during the day, and they noticed that Lloyd's truck was in the driveway, but like Floyd or Suzanne weren't in the truck. And they're like, oh, maybe they went for a walk or something like that, right? They walk into their house. Floyd is laying on their couch, and Suzanne is sitting in a chair. Floyd's like, oh, the garage was open. We just came in. My back was killing me. They're like, what the
That's
frick?
so
So weird.
weird.
And then Floyd left, and he's like, I'll come pick up, Sharon in a little while. Really, Suzanne. Very.
Ew.
So
Um,
obviously,
they didn't let their daughter go over their house or his house, right? Oh, they did.
so Jenny's dad, like I said, really didn't trust him, and he refused to let Jenny stay the night at Sharon's house.
Yes.
But one weekend,
No.
while he was away on a business trip, Jenny's mom relented.
Oh my God.
And what would happen that night would haunt Jenny forever. So Jenny's mom dropped her off at the house. It was like peace because they were like Jenny and her family were a little bit more well to do. They lived in a really nice neighborhood. They did live like an hour and a half or so apart, but they lived in a beautiful neighborhood. They had a really nice house. They clearly did well for themselves. On the contrast, the home that Floyd and Suzanne were living in was not very nice. It was like a small, relatively rundown home.
Yeah.
There were no doors. Everything was curtains, like on the inside.
Oh, okay. Well, still, yeah.
No, obviously not the outside door. And so, Jenny and Suzanne were so excited to have a sleepover at Suzanne's house, and Floyd took the girls out for dinner. They just like went to some like diner-ish kind of place. And when they got in the car, he suggested that he take them out dancing. The girls were really excited about this and rushed home to change, and Floyd brought them to a seedy bar and left them there until after midnight. He kind of just like dropped them off. Like Jenny didn't really get any real like she got
That's
weird vibes,
weird.
but she was also like 14. You know what I mean? She didn't like
Yeah.
her like radar wasn't up or anything like that. But she
Yeah.
also was like, why would you just drop us off? And she's described that night as like they just like literally danced in the dance floor for like the entire night, and like old creepy guy. It was like old creepy guys like in the club,
I'm sure.
and they kept all kind of come up to Suzanne because she was really beautiful, and like she was also had a lot of provocative clothing that he bought for her that she would wear, but she like turned everybody away as like she was only dancing with her friend Jenny, right?
Yeah.
So then a little after midnight, Floyd was like, all right, let's go home, right? Like, no harm, no foul, you think, right? He brought the girls home, and as they were in Suzanne's room getting undressed and about to put on their pajamas, he barged into the room with his gun, screaming and scaring the shit out of the two girls. He then proceeded to rape Suzanne at gunpoint while Jenny laid on her sleeping bag on the floor, immobilized by fear, like covering her face and everything. And then he left the room, and
Was he drunk?
no, this
I was
was
like, what's the fucking like? What's the trigger here? Like,
there
why?
was no trigger. It wasn't that night wasn't unique for Suzanne. That was like some of the abuse that she had been enduring the majority of her life. And while Jenny maintained her close friendship with Suzanne over the next few years, she obviously never stepped foot in that home again. And she didn't tell her mom what happened.
I don't even like that's got it. She must
It
have
was
regretted that
it
for the
was
rest of her life.
it was just one glimpse into what Suzanne endured every single day.
That's crazy.
No matter how busy she was.
And I'm sure she played it all the fucking way down to Jenny. Like, there's no way she wasn't like,
Mhm.
listen, blah blah blah.
Well,
Like,
this
it
was
just like,
years ago.
yeah, like what else? Like, Imagine Jenny did say something and like our parents got involved.
So I don't mention this, so I'll mention it now. At some point, Jenny does like move away. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, Jenny, Suzanne and Floyd move away, and like I'll mention that. And Suzanne, he let Suzanne come back and visit them for 2 weeks. It was very weird. He had her so under control that I don't think he actually
He's not
feared her
worried about,
leaving.
especially, I mean, even with what happened
He
too,
did it in front of somebody. He was
and did in front of
he was
Jenny,
like a
he's like, I know I'm
master
not going to get
manipulator.
away. Yeah, like I can get away with this. I'm not worried about you.
No, it was horrible. So apparently on this trip, Jenny, sorry, I keep getting her mixed up. Suzanne, like, kind of asked the mom. She's like, "Please let me stay with you. Like, I don't want to go back. Like, I want to be with you." But the whole time, they're under the impression this is her father, right?
Yeah.
She's never given her any inkling. Like, Suzanne was very tight-lipped. She didn't give really any inkling to what was going on at home.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Why don't you want to go back?" They were trying to like be like,
Like,
"Tell us why. We
yeah.
need a reason."
Yeah.
Otherwise, they were like, "Unless your father gives us permission, we can't just take you." I think she was like maybe 17 or 18 at that point. I mean, she was
Yeah.
illegal, but
Like they
still.
probably just thought at most he was just very neglectful or very over,
Or
like,
just like
just
super
like,
strict and weird.
yeah, just like not
I don't think anyone,
right.
you can't, like, nobody's mind goes to that.
No, not, you're not going to think that, no.
So, no matter how busy Suzanne was, school, friends, plans, she always made it home by 4:30 p.m. like clockwork. She had to be home to cook dinner for Floyd because if she wasn't, she'd pay for it. Even as she built a life outside of, even as she built a full life outside, friends, good grades, boyfriends, inside that home, Suzanne was still under lock and key, still controlled, still suffering in silence. Then senior year came. Sharon Marshall had done the impossible. She was accepted into Georgia Tech with a full ride scholarship. This was the moment, the ticket out, but right before graduation, she got pregnant.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The father's identity was never officially confirmed. Some speculate, others suspect Floyd himself.
Yeah.
But what's known as this, she gave birth that summer, and Floyd used the baby as the perfect excuse to keep her from going to college. Her future was gone. And so she gave birth, I believe, the July after she graduated high school. So she got pregnant, obviously, at some point before that. So she did finish out her school year, but then Floyd had moved them again before she gave birth to Arizona. And then they also moved to Texas and briefly to North Carolina, and then they eventually landed in Tampa, Florida. So this was probably all like within the year or so
That's
after high
crazy.
school.
That's crazy.
And in
What's that, four
Florida,
different states?
one, two, three, yeah. Well, starting in Georgia so
Yeah,
far.
starting. Oh my god. Um,
Things got even worse in Florida.
he
Jamie's
doesn't
not doing.
say. This is crazy. This is like a scary movie. Like this isn't even like it's so hard to fathom that this is even real life. Like this is somebody's actual life that they went through this.
Yeah.
And also it's like crazy to look back on all the different crossroads that she had and a potential to get herself away from him. Like from the mom
That's
looking
you know
for
what
her
one of the
from
things that is crazy for me
what?
is that he let her have boyfriends.
I'm surprised about that.
I was this was the first like she had multiple boyfriends in high school. She has a couple of boyfriends after high school. I was very surprised. I mean, like I guess not so much when he was. I mean, no, even when he was presenting as her father, like he could have just said, "No, you're not allowed to have boyfriends." You know what I mean? Like that's like would have been the most normal thing, I guess. Like
Yeah.
to whatever, but
On top of all the other like strict and overpowering or what's that controlling
overprotective, yeah.
over controlling tendencies that he's had with being at home at 4 o'clock. You're gonna let her have boyfriends? That's crazy.
No, it was crazy. But he would also like go on the dates with them. Like he'd be at the movies. He would be weird.
Yeah, that's
But what I find in like even moving forward when I talk about the last couple of years of her life, like the impression she leaves on so many people. Like Jenny Fisher was like her best friend in high school.
yeah.
Like we would have been she would have been my maid of honor.
Wow.
Um, and she obviously left such a positive, lasting impression on Jenny.
Yeah.
But there was also people from her high school that remembered her as this vibrant, beautiful, sweet girl.
Is
Like,
Jenny in the documentary?
she is.
Wow.
But she was reserved. She was tight-lipped about her family and her home. Like, you really couldn't get anything out of her. And you know, her and Floyd just said that like her mom passed away. He was a single mom. Like, I mean, he was a single dad. And even like the book starts talking about when she's like, you know, at the very beginning of one of her many high schools that she was in,
Yeah.
and how I don't know if it was like the guidance counselor or whoever was welcoming them in to like talk to her and him. She didn't even say anything at the initial meeting. Like, it was all him.
It's interesting. That's so interesting.
Yeah. No, it's very sad.
Yeah. So wait, is Jenny also in the book too, or no?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
And what's the year again? What year am I in?
Right now, we're gonna be in about 1988.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So in 1988, Sharon Marshall gave birth to us. So this was her second kid.
Wow.
His name was Michael Hughes, born on April 21st, and he became the center of Sharon's world, and in many ways, her only source of light in an increasingly dark life. So,
And she has both of her kids at this point.
no, I'm so sorry. I apologize. She gave her first child up for adoption.
Okay.
She did.
Did they find him?
No,
Hmm.
they did not.
Hmm.
But then she had Michael, who was her son, who she did keep.
Do we know who the father of that one is?
Yeah. But then Sharon and Floyd, still pretending to be her father, had settled in Tampa, Florida, where Sharon was forced to dance as an exotic dancer at a club called Mons Venus.
So is that where I'm so sorry. Is that where that starts? Her dancing?
Yes, from
Okay.
my understanding, because when they had moved from Georgia to Arizona and then briefly to Texas, she was like a hostess and a waitress. That's what she said to her friend Jenny. So I'm assuming. So when Suzanne and Floyd settled in Florida, he was still pretending to be her father, and Michael was his grandson.
Okay.
Okay, because she had Michael in 1988, and from 1988 to 1989, they were in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
So Suzanne was forced by Floyd to dance at the club Mons Venus, one of the most well-known strip clubs in the city, where she obviously had to dance, but Floyd also would kind of force her to offer sexual favors to customers as well.
That's crazy. Is he like going up to them behind them, be like,
No, he's telling her to do it.
oh, from like the sidelines? What is he like watching her?
No, so he wasn't actually allowed in the club.
Good.
And I don't think I say that later, but he wasn't allowed in the club. Most significant others weren't. Obviously, significant others aren't allowed in the club, but he was her father. And I think he tried to come in one time and he really creeped everyone out. And they're like, you're not allowed. So he would sit in the parking lot. He would bring her at night. They hired a babysitter to watch the kid at the trailer park at night. He would drive her to the strip club. He would sit there overnight and then he would bring her home.
And this was like the first time he started to force her to be at strip clubs and stuff.
That we know of.
Okay.
That we know of. I do think yes, because if not, like these people came forward once like they saw her on the TV and they saw her going by a different name and they're like, no, we know her by this. Like we know who this is. And they thought they had the real identity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them for that.
No, not at all, not at all.
The schools, we could have done better, but the strip club, yeah, that's fair.
So there was another dancer that Floyd took a liking to, Cheryl Ann Comesso, who worked under the stage name Stevie at Mons Venus.
So sorry.
Cheryl had a relatively tough life too. She had dropped out of high school and turned to exotic dancing to survive. She arrived at Mons Venus in 1989, and after losing her place to live, ended up moving in with Suzanne and Floyd.
No.
And that decision would ultimately cost her everything.
Yeah.
Floyd fed Cheryl a bunch of lies. Told her he had connections in Los Angeles, that she let him take risque photos and videos of her. He can get them in the front of producers or even Playboy. Obviously, it was all a scam. He also started to sleep with Cheryl.
You know what's interesting and funny is that he is like this guy that seems to give everybody like their like alarms just to go right off. But he also seems to also be able to like convince people to a certain degree. Like,
It's crazy.
yeah.
So other dancers did warn her away. Stay away from him. Like he's dangerous, and they were right. Like Cheryl would show up to work with bruises, like visible injuries, black eyes. One dancer, there was even a story that a dancer had told where Floyd took Cheryl out on a boat that he somehow managed to buy.
How?
Probably because he had Suzanne working day in and day out like a dog.
True.
And they had had sex previously to this, but on the boat he tried to force himself on her and she refused. So he attacked her. He like, beat her up and then like knocked her on the floor, and like as she was trying to get up, he saw that he was getting a net to throw on top of her.
This is like Stevie?
This is Cheryl Ann Comesso, who goes by Stevie, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll call her Cheryl. He saw that she was trying to throw a net on top of her, so she jumped into the water, and he still threw the net, but he missed, and she swam like a quarter of a mile back to shore and hitchhiked home.
Wow.
After that, Cheryl had enough, and she decided to hit Floyd where it hurt. She called welfare and reported that Suzanne was making over $1,500 a week dancing while still collecting government assistance, and it worked. Suzanne's benefits were cut off while the claim was investigated.
No. Like I get like wanting to fuck him, but he completely, I'm sure, fucked Suzanne in the process because I'm sure he took everything out on her.
1 week later, Cheryl vanished.
There you go.
She wouldn't be seen again until 1996 when a construction crew preparing for highway maintenance in Tampa, Florida, uncovered human remains.
Jeez.
And it would take years, but those remains were identified as Cheryl Comesso. She had been badly beaten, her face fractured, and shot twice in the back of the head. The medical examiner ruled it as homicide. And even the truly sick part, the connection to Floyd wouldn't come from a confession or a witness. It came from photos found taped underneath the truck, the stolen truck Floyd would use to kidnap Michael years later.
He did kidnap Michael.
When a mechanic looked under the seat, he found a stack of disturbing, explicit, almost snuff-like photographs of Cheryl. Some taken before her death and others potentially after. And she wasn't the only one in the photos. Suzanne was in some of the photos, and there was also like another two children in the photos. They didn't know who they were.
Oh my god.
So the photos would later become key evidence in convicting Floyd of Cheryl's murder, and in 2001 he was found guilty and sentenced to death. And by this time, back in 1989, Floyd had already forced Sharon to undergo multiple surgeries, breast implants, liposuction, and even butt implants. Described by some as grotesquely botched, he was shaping her body the way he wanted, the way he thought men wanted it, not for her, but for him.
Mm.
And through all of this, through the surgeries, the moves, the violence, Sharon was raising Michael, doing her best to give him love and stability in a life that had none. But she was trying to get out, and Floyd could feel it, and soon she'd be gone too. And that brings us back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is a very confusing story.
It's just because they're hopping around fucking everywhere, changing their name left and right.
Changing their names.
And they're also getting involved with people too that have aliases. I mean, just starting now, obviously, but this is going to be a thing considering I'm sure she's going to keep dancing. And then
So, yeah.
Yeah, this is crazy.
So they obviously fled.
Yeah, yeah.
Florida because
His MO.
he murdered somebody.
Yeah.
And so they moved to Tulsa. At this point, Cheryl, sorry, it was like who Cheryl. At this point, Suzanne, was kind of a shell of herself. He obviously forced her to be, a stripper again at another club, and that's where she found that group of friends that really loved her. And that's also when they now took on the names Clarence and Tanya Hughes and not only presented as a married couple, he made them actually get married.
That's disgusting.
Disgusting.
And how? Oh, I guess because of aliases.
He was good with IDs. They took the names off tombstones in Alabama.
Jesus Christ.
Which, yeah. And so now we're back to the body found on the side of the road in April of 1990. Back to Tanya Hughes, who is actually Suzanne Marie Sevakis, and the strange possessive man calling himself her husband, Clarence Hughes, Franklin Delano Floyd. So after Suzanne's death, the focus shifted quickly to her young son, 2-year-old Michael Hughes. No mother and a very suspicious father, child welfare stepped in, and surprisingly, Floyd agreed to give Michael up temporarily to the Department of Human Services.
Mm.
He kind of said like, "Hey, like my wife just died. I'm trying to get my life together. Can you take the kid for like a week and I'll come back?" Um, but the clock was ticking. But because if you remember, when Floyd tried to catch in Suzanne slash Tanya's life insurance policy, he had given his real social security number, and that blew his cover.
Yeah.
Authorities realized who he was, and he took off. But he didn't get far because less than 2 months later, Floyd was captured and arrested.
Okay.
Now, here's where things get a little even more twisted. He was on the run the entire time he was with Suzanne because he attacked a woman. Like
Was
back in
it?
1974.
Oh,
He violated his parole.
yeah.
So he was on the run.
And he had parole from the 4-year-old? Like, was that
No,
his.
he had served that time, and then
Okay.
when he was on parole, he attacked another woman,
Okay.
and then he was on the run.
Do you know what kind of. Like, was it a sexual attack?
No, he didn't. He like didn't get that far, but he violated his parole by attacking a woman.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was, she got away from him and stuff. But
Okay. So it's just another reason for him to move from place to place to place.
yeah, so he just continued
Yeah.
to be on the run forever. So Floyd was captured and arrested, because then he fled, right? And
Yeah.
then, so while he was sitting in jail, he started planning his comeback. He used that time to take parenting classes, earn fatherhood certificates, and prepare legal documentation demanding visitation rights with Michael.
Literally psychotic. And how are they even gonna. Like, I don't understand why they would even entertain that.
So here's the kicker. Floyd fought the results of a court ordered paternity test that proved without a doubt he was not Michael's biological father.
How are you gonna fight that? How are you gonna try and get this kid back that A doesn't belong to you? B, you have a full rep sheet of like every fucking thing like
No,
a
he's a
scumbag
horrible
person.
person. No, he was a horrible person.
And do they give him back? Do they give Michael back? No, because you said that he kidnapped him.
Yeah. So it didn't stop him. Floyd was obsessed with the control, and Michael was the last piece of Suzanne that he could
Yeah,
still
of
claim,
course.
and he was determined to keep that hold. So when Floyd gave Michael up to DHS, like I said, it was supposed to be temporary, just another manipulation tactic. But in the moment, Michael was finally given something that he never had before, which was safety. He was placed in a loving foster home with Merle and Ernest Bean. The Beans weren't just stand-ins; they became his parents in every way that mattered. They gave him structure, comfort, and stability, but it wasn't easy. Michael had been through so much. At just 2 years old, he already showed signs of severe emotional trauma. He was withdrawn, fearful, and confused about whom to trust. His development was delayed, and he struggled with sleep and anxiety. The trauma from his early life with Floyd had left deep, visible scars. But slowly, with time and care, Michael started to come out of his shell, and over the 4 years that he lived with the Beans, he began to heal. He laughed, he played, and he called them mom and dad. And the Beans, they loved him. They wanted to adopt him and make him a permanent part of their family. But yeah. Floyd was still in the picture. Still filing court motions, still demanding visitation, still insisting despite everything that Michael's was his. And the courts listened. Even with all of the warning signs, Floyd was granted visitation rights.
How?
I don't know.
That's like one thing to fuck over a woman, like, from time, like, but to fuck over a kid, the court systems to fail a child, that's absolutely fucking disgusting.
And the Beans would even say, like, Michael was so much worse every time he got back from a visit. Like, it was a supervised visit. Like, it was so bad. So after serving his time, Floyd was released in 1994. But instead of disappearing into obscurity or, I don't know, not being a monster, he jumped right back into fighting for custody of Michael Hughes. He insisted he was the boy's father, despite all evidence to the contrary. He had the parenting class certificates. He made formal requests for visitation. He was relentless, and terrifyingly, the courts allowed it. He was, like I said, because I think he was granted supervised visits in jail and then out of jail. And Floyd wasn't just creeping around courtrooms and custody hearings. He was out in the world too. So he found work as a maintenance man in an apartment complex. A low profile, no questions asked kind of job. Just the kind of job somebody like him could get.
Yeah.
And then, in true Floyd fashion, he blew it up in the most disturbing way possible. One day, a woman came home to her apartment and found Floyd standing in her bedroom, rifling through her underwear drawer, sniffing her panties.
That's fucking disgusting.
When she confronted him, he attacked her. She somehow managed to fight him off, and Floyd fled the scene before police could get there. But just like that, the truth was clear. Floyd hadn't changed. He
Yeah.
hadn't reformed.
Yeah.
He hadn't taken parenting classes out of love or duty. He took them to control someone, to manipulate the system, to keep a grip on a child that never belonged to him. And he wasn't done yet.
Did the courts finally like see that after this? After he attacked a woman, they're like, okay, now you can't have your child.
Buckle in.
What courts is this again? Where are we?
So Floyd knew exactly what he had done. Breaking into that woman's apartment, assaulting her, being caught in the act, it wasn't just another offense, it was a parole violation, a big one. And it would completely blow up any chance he had of getting custody of Michael Hughes.
That's why it's like the fucking 90s.
Yeah, it's 96. He spent years building this paper-thin image of a... Sorry, 94 or something. He spent years building this paper-thin image of a reformed father, and now it was shattered. So, like he always did when things didn't go his way, he ran. And this time, he didn't just disappear quietly. He was planning something violent, desperate, and irreversible. So this is 94. On September 12th, 1994, Franklin Delano Floyd walked into the Indian Meridian Elementary School in Choctaw, Oklahoma. He was armed with a pistol and a clear plan. He walked straight into the principal's office and held the principal, James Davis, at gunpoint. He forced him to get Michael out of class and into a car and made him drive up to nearby woods. He then tied the principal to a tree who would not be found for over 2 hours and fled with Michael in tow. It was brazen, it was violent, and it was completely planned. Floyd and Michael vanished. The FBI launched a full-scale manhunt. The nation watched the news, hoping for an update, but Michael, he was gone. And no one would really know what would happen to him for nearly 2 decades. In the months following Michael's abduction, the FBI was in overdrive. They were searching everywhere for Franklin Delano Floyd, and more importantly, for Michael. Eventually, Floyd was found and arrested in Kentucky in November 1994, just 2 months after the kidnapping. Floyd was arrested and charged with Michael's kidnapping, but refused to give up his whereabouts, coming up with ridiculous stories about the mafia to evade answering questions. During his kidnapping trial, the truck he stole the day he took Michael was eventually found, and the photos I mentioned earlier were found and handed over to police custody.
And nothing with... There's no photos of Michael in there?
No, those were the photos that led
Yeah.
to the 2001 trial and conviction of Floyd for the murder of Cheryl Camesso. It seems like justice was kind of finally catching up with him, but even behind bars, facing the end, Floyd refused to give anything up. He still wouldn't say what happened to Michael Hughes. He still wouldn't even reveal who Tanya Hughes really was. They all, as far back as they had gone at this point, is just a Sharon Marshall in high school. Her entire identity remained a mystery, locked away in Floyd's head while he rotted on death row. The man who had stolen her life now kept her truth hostage, and for years, Floyd kept his secret sealed.
I fucking hate him.
For years, he sat on death row, defiant, smug, refusing to answer the 2 questions that taunted investigators most. What happened to Michael Hughes, and who was Tanya Hughes / Sharon Marshall really? Then, in 2014, 20 years after Michael vanished, 2 FBI agents finally got through to him. Special agents Scott Lobb and Nate Furr spent hours interviewing Floyd. Slowly, patiently, they chipped away at his defenses, and finally he cracked. Floyd confessed to murdering Michael Hughes the very same day he kidnapped him from school. He claimed he couldn't care for the boy and didn't want him to go back into foster care, so he took him into the woods and shot him in the back of the head. He even gave them a location somewhere along the Red River in Oklahoma, but despite extensive searches, Michael's remains have never been found. It was a confession that devastated the agents and everyone who had hoped, against all odds, that Michael might somehow still be alive. But Floyd wasn't done talking. In that same interview, he finally gave up the truth about the women he had kidnapped, renamed, and abused for nearly her entire life. Tanya Hughes, Sharon Marshall, that bright, brilliant girl who dreamed of working for NASA, her real name was Suzanne Marie Sevakis. After nearly 3 decades, her true identity was finally restored, and with that, a piece of her dignity, of her humanity, of the person she was before Floyd stole everything from her. And in 2003, at the age of 79, Floyd died in prison. Alone and without the control he spent his entire life clinging to. He died without ever expressing real remorse. He died never revealing the exact spot where Michael is buried. But he also died knowing that the world finally saw through his lies. And so that's the story of Suzanne Marie Sevakis. A daughter, a brilliant student, a mother, a woman whose life was rewritten again and again by the man who stole her. Floyd kidnapped her as a little girl, raised her under fake names, abused and exploited her, and ultimately stole not just her life, but her identity. Suzanne's name was restored, her story was told, and her strength, her resilience is what we remember, not him. So thanks for joining us in this heartbreaking, deeply disturbing journey.
Wait, how did he die?
He just died. He didn't even die execution style. He just died, I'm pretty sure.
He didn't die good enough. He should have died
No, I
worse.
know. That's why you were like, is he dead? I'm like, you're not going to be happy with that he died at 79.
For no fucking good,
He
not even
sat
good
in
death.
Florida's death
He
row.
should have been fucking stabbed to death or some shit.
So he died in Florida because Florida was the murder case, and that was the one that was like his for life case. No, he's horrible. Are you okay?
No. The only good thing that like I can even think of to say is that like we can only hope and pray that Michael's death was super quick and he was able to be reunited with his mom. Um, but the amount of lives that this asshole absolutely just burned,
Mm-hmm.
like in the worst kind of fucking way, is like insane.
No, it's horrible.
I feel so much rage to him right now.
And I don't know if I even like really like everything.
And just so he knows, if he's listening in fucking hell, I still don't even know your name. And I'm not going to be bothered to remember it. Because it's fucking stupid. I'm trying to think of. Your name has been said so many times. It's not in my head.
It's not important.
And all I know is I hate you.
He's the worst.
But you know whose head is in my head? And whose name
head is in your head?
whose name is in my head? Suzanne
Marie Sevakis.
I didn't get the last part, sorry. But
Suzanne Marie.
I have Suzanne. And I have Tanya. And I have
Sharon.
I have all of her names in my head.
No, she.
And her two sons, Arizona and Michael.
She actually had a third child I didn't mention.
Oh my god.
She had a daughter in 1989 that was also given up for adoption. It's very odd to me what he would pick and choose for her to like give up or keep or have a boyfriend or whatever the case is, and raising her as a daughter and then like pretending to or acting as her husband. I think that like one of the FBI agents were saying how like Michael was gonna be his new Suzanne.
Oh my god.
Because like Suzanne had aged out of what he wanted.
Disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fucking hate him. You did a really good job telling this story.
Thank you. I really have.
That was crazy. That was a crazy story.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to watch the documentary on it.
You should. And with that, we'll catch you in the shadows.
Stay ghouly! That was fucking horrendous. I hate that guy. Oh, I wanted to say, he's a little small little bitch because he gave up because of all the things that he chose to do.